But I used EC1118, so I made 18% mead. You only used SO4, so that could only be 11%. You used 71B, so that's 14%. I've heard statements like this for so long, it's a little bit frustrating. And when presented with the actual evidence, people suddenly understand what they're saying. We've had many, many people say, like say we made a mead that was 13%, and we used Lalvin 71B, or whatever yeast we used. It's 13%. And they said, well, I made the exact same thing as you, same recipe, but I used EC1118, so mine's 18%. And I say, did you add more honey? No. Then it's not going to be 18%. And their argument is, but Lalvin EC1118 is an 18% yeast, therefore it's 18% mead. Well, first, yeast can't read. They have no freaking idea how much alcohol there is. They only know what they can do and what they can't do. Kind of like Jack Sparrow, a man can only, you know what I mean. The concept that they have is that because they used a higher tolerance yeast, it automatically made more alcohol. And before anybody scoffs at this, this is a very pervasive thought process. It happens all the time. And here's how I debunk it instantly. I say to them, let me ask you a question. If you use that 18% yeast and you didn't add any honey to the brew at all, would it still make alcohol and would it still be 18%? That's when I can almost hear the brain start working and they go, oh, well, of course not. And now they understand the difference. Yeast alcohol tolerance is probably the easiest and most pervasive attribute of a yeast. And in brewing, possibly one of the most important. Before anybody freaks out, yeast all make alcohol. Yes, they all have slight, subtle variations in flavors. And I'm going to say slight and subtle because in most cases they are. Are there examples where it's more of a difference than others? Of course there is. Because you know what? Always and never shouldn't be in your vocabulary because nothing is always and nothing is never. I know, I just said you shouldn't even use them ever, but you know what I mean. Most yeast will do more or less the same job across a wide spectrum of beverages. That's what I'm trying to say. However, the one thing that will change is alcohol tolerance. Let's take SO4 as a yeast. It's an ale yeast. It's a pretty good one. It actually says 9 to 11% alcohol tolerance. What does that mean? Get to it in a second. EC1118 says 18% tolerance. What does that mean? Does that mean that is what it's going to ferment to every single time? Hell no, because there's so many variables at play here. First, it could stall. Second, it might never get there. Third, it could go higher. So let's take SO4, for example. Usually for us, it goes 11 to 12%, even though its tolerance is 9 to 11. It generally does go a little bit higher. But in order to get to 11 or 12%, we have to have enough fermentables to get it there. In other words, without the sugars to make alcohol, it's not going to make 11%. And if you put in too much, it's not automatically going to make more alcohol. It could stall. There's a lot of ifs, ands, buts, and it depends in this one, okay? I'm really sorry. I do have videos that explain all this a little bit better. I just wanted to talk about alcohol tolerance itself. However, use that exact same brew, throw in EC1118, guess what? If you only got to 11% with SO4 and it was dry, EC1118 is going to do the same thing. It's going to go to 11% and go dry. That's it. It's not going to magically produce 18% alcohol. However, the inverse, if you made a brew that somehow with EC1118 went to 18% and went dry, and you made it again, the exact same recipe, and used SO4, it's not going to go to 18%. It might not even make it to 11%, but let's just assume for a minute it did. It'd be super, super sweet, right? You understand that. So that means the alcohol tolerance was the main limiting factor of that yeast and a major attribute in that recipe making. What I'm getting to is this. We get this all the time where someone said, I did this recipe, but I used a different yeast. And that yeast might be a much higher alcohol tolerance. And this happens a lot with our grocery store series. This is a perfect example because we use bread yeast in those. We use Fleischmann's. And a lot of people have a huge problem with using bread yeast. I find it completely stupid that people are that up in arms about it. It's a freaking yeast, people. I mean, that's all it's a yeast. It's a single-celled organism. And you're freaking your shit out over a freaking single-celled organism. Think about that for just a minute. and how it's so different than this other single-celled organism that shares the same species name. They're so close to the same. They're more the same than they are different. And I mean bread yeast versus a wine yeast. They are much more the same than they are different, okay? Let's just stop it right there and move forward. But talking about bread yeast, generally speaking, we get anywhere from like 11.5 to 12.5% ABV from bread yeast. So I use that to our advantage. In my grocery store mead, grocery store wine, my sweet red wine, we hope, even our latest one in the Pyment, we hope that it stops fermenting before it gets all the sugars out. Okay? We're working with the alcohol tolerance of that yeast. We want it to end between 11.5 and 12.5% and leave some sweetness on purpose because that adds to the flavor and the enjoyment of that beverage. Could we squeeze out another percent or two of alcohol if we used wine yeast? Sure, but that's the problem. When you do that, you just change the recipe drastically. Now, let me show you the repercussions of this. We made this recipe. Goes to 12%, ends at like 1.020 sweetness. It tastes wonderful. Everything about it is awesome. At 5 weeks old, you can drink it, no problem. Viewer comes along and says, oh, that's awesome. I have EC 1118. I'm going to use that because it's a better yeast than bread yeast. Or insert yeast here. I don't really care what yeast you're talking about. Anything that goes higher than 11 or 12%, insert it here. This is such a common thing. I could write a script and tell you what people are going to say. But their thinking is they're using a better quality yeast, therefore it will come out better. Okay. Now, will the fermentation be cleaner? Debatable, but doubtful, depending on how you did it. Will it end dry, which is technically finished to some people, and some people think that if it turns out sweet that it's not finished. That's a whole other debate. But will it be different? Yes, because it's probably going to go dry. So when we sit and do tasting notes and explain how this has a nice, sweet, fruity flavors and things like that, they don't get those. They get, this is dry, and it even, some people say, tastes like vinegar. And that's usually just the sourness of a young brew that went dry. And people get very disgruntled. But what they're not realizing is they inherently change that recipe by using a yeast that can go higher in ABV. So it did ferment out that last 1% or whatever it could get, 2% even. So there's no sugars left. Therefore, the flavor is drastically and completely different. And now I'm learning some other things. Even back sweetening, you will not bring it back to those same flavors because the yeast consumes the different kinds of sugars differently, thereby leaving some behind and not others when they stop at the alcohol tolerance. But there's even more to it than that. If you follow our grocery store mead, grocery store wine, or the recent Pyment, they're done when they're done. When they stop fermenting, you let it sit for a while, make sure it's actually finished, bottle it, consume it, enjoy it. No pasteurization, no stabilization, no alterations, nothing necessary at all. Simple recipes that just freaking work. However, change that yeast even to something like Lalvin 71B, which for our Pyment, you'd think, oh, that's perfect. It's for fruity things. And it's not. Well, guess what? 71B can go to 14, 15%. Well, if you do that in that recipe, it's going to be completely dry and change the flavor components completely in that recipe. Now, if you try to replicate it, what are you going to do? You're going to back sweeten, but you already have a higher alcohol content than we did. So you now have to combat the extra ethanol, the extra alcohol, the extra burn that's in there. Plus, you might have even stressed the yeast a little bit because we don't tend to use a lot of extra nutrients and things like that. They're designed to go to that 11 or 12%. So once you start going higher, now yeast have a little higher requirements and they like things to be a certain way. And if you don't, they can create more fusels. They can create more off flavors. So now you have that to battle with as well. And then once you've sweetened it, now you have to worry about re-fermentation, possibly, who knows, especially if you used EC 1118 or something crazy like that, and you didn't go past that 18% alcohol with the re-fermentation. You want to stop that so that it doesn't, have problems. So now you have to either stabilize or pasteurize, which is also altering flavor, sometimes slightly, sometimes drastically. But also, now everything that you had to balance, you had to finagle all sorts of things to get it there, but now it's stable, but it's probably still not going to taste the same because it does have more alcohol. So you have that extra, just kind of not quite the same flavor. It's going to need more aging. So instead of drinking something awesome at 5 weeks, you might need 5 months. Or a few months, whatever. I'm just throwing numbers out as an example. So instead of just making a brew that finished out really nice and easy, that tastes great, you had all this extra work to do. Now imagine this was your first time making a brew and you don't even know how to do some of those things yet. Well, that's where a lot of people quit. So that is why from day one, Derek and I have pushed alcohol tolerance as a huge thing. I, to this day, do not understand for the life of me why more manufacturers do not just put this very simple, very, very basic, fundamental attribute of the yeast on the friggin' packet. I have to Google it every freaking time. It's just stupid to me. It's such a simple thing, it would be just one extra little line. They could remove half the shit that they put on the packet, in my opinion, but put the alcohol tolerance on there because new people and even experienced people, we want to know. I think that's all I have to say about alcohol tolerance. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.